Yeah. So for those that don't know Growth University, what is Growth University and how did you get to, why was it formed?
Yeah, so Growth University is a company that provides a playbook for startup growth, basically. So, what do I mean by that? I mean by that we have um, dashboards and assets and resources that are available to our membership community to use for things like building a growth model, a financial model, a dashboard to help your company understand which metrics are resonating, what's most important to you for growth. But we primarily deliver content through live cohort-based training sessions, usually 4 or 6 weeks in length. And we've also got a whole bunch of on-demand content. So there's kind of two bands of programs. One is kind of a strategic framework level band, and one is a much more tactical band. So the tactical band, for example, will do deep dive programs on Facebook advertising, on Google advertising, on Instagram for business, TikTok, and all the channel-based stuff that you need to do as a marketer, as a startup trying to grow. And then on the framework side, it's more kind of, I call it holistic growth. So we try to look at things like customer onboarding, customer acquisition, retention models, how to build a cohort, how to really get in the weeds and understand what's working with your business. The way it got started actually was I had been in the driver's seat with running growth at a few different startups across a bunch of different industries, really over the last 7 or 8 years, and through my own kind of personal discovery and curiosity, what I started to realize is that the different companies that I was at all struggled with some of the same challenges of growth, and a lot of my peers were having the same types of challenges and struggles. And a lot of folks that I was starting to talk to, so I do a lot of mentorship for startups. I had hundreds of conversations with founders who were running mostly small startups, but some growth stage or kind of Series A stage startups. And they were all struggling with the same concepts around growth. What do you measure? What's most important? Should you experiment? What channels should you be marketing in? How do you know if something's working or not? What is product market fit? All of those things. How do you talk to customers? How much money should you spend on paid acquisition? Should you do organic? Hundreds and hundreds of these things. And I came up with a set of themes that were consistent. Really, there's kind of like 5 main themes that I found through a lot of this customer discovery. Long story short, about a year ago, I had been doing a lot of mentorship with the Launch Accelerator, actually. So I took 2 companies through Launch with Jason Calacanis, Votion and Red Tricycle, 2 kind of different outcomes. But one of the things that we had been discussing was that those companies were also having a lot of the same challenges, even around getting the nomenclature down around growth metrics and doing things that seem fairly straightforward, like building a growth model for your startup was very inconsistent. So every startup was kind of doing it differently. So Jason and I kind of put our heads together and decided to kind of spin this out as a trial run. So I put all of my thinking into what was the first beta program last summer, about a year ago right now, actually. So we did this 6-week beta for all the Launch Accelerator companies, and that went extremely well. So the feedback from that was phenomenally positive, mostly overall. And we decided, okay, well, let's actually spin this out and make this something that your companies out in the public could participate in. So that was really the nexus, but it was a long time kind of boiling up to that point where there was enough there to build something from.
It's interesting. Quick backstory on me, because you'll see some similarities. So in 2010-ish timeframe, I was running a software agency in the Virginia Beach area, and we started working with some early stage businesses. And one of the ways that I decided to help market that business was to do like a startup weekend style event before startup weekends had really gotten big. And so I did my thing. It was called Start Norfolk. I did it 5 times. And I think we had like thousands of people attend over the 5, hundreds of ideas. And it was really interesting because it was like, okay, well, there's something here there. So then I started this really early stage accelerator, like 2012 style accelerator, where we invest a couple of checks into a couple of companies and see where it goes. That went well. We taught those companies the things that you're talking about with Growth University. And what's interesting is all these other people, so I think 12 or 13 companies went through our cohorts in 18 months, but hundreds of people were like, hey, I want what that person wants. I don't care about the check. I want that thing. how do I get that? And I kept getting that answer over and over. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I was like, well, I'll just give you access to come to my office. You can watch this program that I'm doing. And so we started doing that. And that was this thing that we called 1004. So it was all in person, which is similar to what you're talking about. But then what's interesting is around 2014, 2015, another group of people said, hey, I want access to that, but I don't want to come on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I want to watch this on my own time. So I built this online access, streaming. And streaming back then is still a little premature.
It was before Zoom, right? Like, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it was,
to that extent. I mean, I think we went through I think it was actually YouTube Live. Is it called YouTube Live? Google Hangouts Live? It was, I mean, Justin TV was a thing. Ustream were things. I don't even know where those things are now.
Totally fragmented. Not easy.
Super early into that. And so it's interesting, created a platform very similar to what sounds like Growth University. And so but all very early on in this, but around the same kind of style of what you're talking about. So it's interesting when Tim was telling me that you were going to be on, I was like, oh, this sounds very much like
that's
this thing that
so
I
in line.
1004. And so it's cool to see. I'm wondering if that was really premature. It's still live and out there and everything, but it's interesting how just how it all works like that, I guess.
Well, I've worked with the Halcyon incubator in DC and done a bunch of stuff with the Launch Accelerator. One of the companies that came through one of the earlier versions, one of the earlier cohorts of my original program that's now called Mastering Growth, but it was originally called Growth University before Growth University was a company. They're an accelerator in Mexico City. I'm talking to another big venture builder right now who wants to put a bunch of companies through. I think all of these founders, and this is kind of what I realized through having all these conversations with founders, is that the struggle is real. And I mean, look, we're writing these programs and we're trying to build these playbooks that other founders can use, but we're also figuring a lot of this stuff out as we go. And we're basically kind of taking the best of what we're learning and iterating on with our experimentation that we're doing and the conversations we're having with startups, understanding even some of the stuff that's not working as well, or the stuff that's in the programs, say like version 1 of my program, that I ended up throwing a bunch of it out because it was a little bit too much. Like there's too much there. There's too much content. It would take them too long to get through. So it's this constant state of like pruning and editing and going back and iterating and editing some more. And it's usually cutting down content. But
and that's the stuff that you can control. Imagine doing a Facebook show and then Facebook deciding, never mind, we changed this thing. Then you got to go back and
then you're going back and doing it. I mean, we do see this we have got a pre-recorded Facebook course, and iOS 14.5 changes came out. So now we have to go back and, even though the tech is so much easier, somebody has to spend time like redoing that curriculum and building it back. But the tools are so much easier to use now. I mean, having Zoom, StreamYard that we're on right now, YouTube Live, like all of these things make it easy to either you can look at it as either being opportunistic or leveling the playing field in terms of democratizing access to the information, because anybody can join from anywhere in the world.
Right.
You don't have to be in DC, which is where I am, or Virginia Beach, where you guys are, or somewhere else where somebody's running the program. It doesn't necessarily replace all the face-to-face kind of cohort feel that you might get. But there's a lot of options for us. And I think that's accelerating this whole move into some of the e-learning that's happening.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at zackmillersays.com/Anomaly Academy.